Greetings, Daily Dose crew. We are beginning a new set of weekend editions here, and we're going to be jumping to Proverbs. And one of the reasons that I've decided to do this is because we are still in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy and Proverbs, I think, are very much related. I would argue that Proverbs is Solomon doing Deuteronomy 17. So if you think about Deuteronomy 17, the law of the king, he is not to have many horses, not to have many wives, not to have much riches, but what he is supposed to do is to write a copy of the Torah, a copy of the law, and to meditate on it and to pass it on to his children, according to Deuteronomy 6. So I think that what Proverbs is Solomon doing Deuteronomy 17 and Deuteronomy 6. Also, and this kind of explains the tree that you see here on the screen behind the Proverbs. Also, you get this relationship of Psalm 1. So in Deuteronomy 17, the king is to not have many horses, not have many wives, and not have much riches. There's three things he shouldn't do. But the one thing he should do is to have a copy of the law and meditate on it day and night. Psalms 1, the man is to not walk in the counsel of the wicked, nor sit in the seat of scoffers, nor stand in the way of sinners. But what he is to do is to delight in the law of the Lord and meditate on it day and night. So you see these connections between what Proverbs is doing, what Psalm 1 is saying the king should do, or this blessed person, and then what Deuteronomy is saying the king should do. So you get these connections across there, so I figured it would be good to jump to Proverbs and glean this wisdom that we see Solomon laying out here. Now, I've got another slide that I want to give to you. We are going to start in Proverbs 2 with this segment of the weekend editions. And part of the reason for that is because in February of 2020 and March of 2020, we actually walked through Proverbs 1. Now, funny enough, this was the last time that we were in Deuteronomy as well. So I took a little break in Deuteronomy after chapter 11 and have now picked it up. And we're still moving forward with Deuteronomy. But one of the breaks that we took previously was here in Proverbs 1. And so you can see the dates for when we ran Proverbs 1. It's archived at this site. And if you're watching this on a computer and not your phone, you can use this QR code to access that website and get those archives of Proverbs 1. We're going to start here in Proverbs 2. So with this weekend edition beginning in Proverbs, let's jump to Proverbs chapter 2 and verse 1. And we'll just walk through these like we do the other verses and try to pick out some pieces and parts to highlight here. We don't so much on the weekend editions have the limit of the 2 to 3 minute video. We might go a little bit longer, but Proverbs are short, so we may make it through these rather quickly without the lengthy introduction that I've given today. So here we go. Beni im tikach amarai u mitzvotai titzpon itach. And so what we get here is my son. Now, this is what we would call a vocative. So it's an address, my son. If you take my words, or we might say receive my words. Now, I wanted to go ahead and get the rest of that before I addressed this vocative because of the accent system. So notice here we have makef followed by munach, and that kind of makes this all one constituent in the sentence. And then we have the atnach, which in poetry is not the strongest accent. We have an accent called the oleveyorid in poetry, but if we don't have an oleveyorid in the verse, then this atnach is still the strongest accent. Now, the one that we have up here, this little guy, is called a dechi. It's called a dechi. And what this is, it functions like the tifcha, and you might notice it actually looks like the tifcha from prose, but it is a pre-positive. And what that means is that it occurs on the word in front of the accent. So here we would actually expect the accent to be over beni, although it is a one-syllable word, depending on how you count vocal schwas. All that aside, we do get the vocative here, my son, before we get the conditional if you receive. So we won't spend a ton of time on the accents necessarily, not like we have been doing in the weekend editions, but something I wanted to point out there, dechi. And I mentioned it functions like the tifcha. The tifcha in prose can occur one or two words in front of the atnach. And when we say words, what we really mean are constituents. And so in this case, what you get is one constituent and two constituents, and that's exactly where we see the dechi fall. So here we get, my son, if you receive my words. Now notice we said my words. So remember in the pronominal suffixes, we have the hirik yod for my on a singular noun, and then we have the patach yod for my on a plural noun. Here we get the kametz yod because of the heavy disjunctive accent. So this is a pausal form, but it is this pronominal suffix on a plural noun. So my words. The verb we have is to imperfect, call imperfect 2ms of the verbal root lakach, and you will notice that one lamed morphs like a one nun. Let me erase some of those, and we end up with this assimilated dagesh forte here. Lakach is just odd like this, but it is something to be aware of. This happens all the time with lakach. So many of you know that, but there it is. Okay. Next we get, and my commandments. There's that patach yod right there that we wanted. With mitzvah, notice that the kametz hey is removed, and we actually get the feminine plural construct ending before the pronominal suffix. So here we have mitzvotai. Now, this vav, let me erase this if I can. There we go. This vav that you're looking at here is the vav of the root, mitzvah, without the kametz hey, okay? Then, instead of writing the feminine plural ending like this, ot, the Hebrew just removes this vav of the ending, writes it defectively, and that vowel there is this vowel here. So that can be a little confusing, but mitzvotai, you can't have a schwa followed by a vowel, so this has to be a consonantal vav with a holum vowel. And what it is this holum vav written defectively. So there you go, mitzvotai. And my commandments, you treasure up is the word that I want to use here. Literally, the verbal root tsafan means to hide. But in this context, and then also, let me look at these references to 7, 7:1. I wrote these down earlier, 10:14. In these references as well, it means the same thing. And it's to treasure up, to hide away, to store up my commandments with you. And we might say within you or something like that. But this word has strong connotations of treasure, And so the words of the Father, the commandments of the Father, and in other places in Proverbs 1-9 of the mother, this parental instruction, store it away, hide it away, treasure it up. And then we'll see later in Proverbs 2 the benefit that is to you, and also in Proverbs 2-9. And so a great start here to Proverbs. Last thing that I want to mention here is just this pronominal suffix. This you actually is masculine, and it's referring back to the son, which is masculine. But you might notice it looks an awful lot like that feminine pronominal suffix. This right here is how that 2ms pronominal suffix will look when it is a pausal form. So again, we get the seluk right here, which is another heavy disjunctive accent. And what that does is it changes this vocal schwa that we're used to seeing, echa, in the 2ms suffix. It changes that schwa to a long kametz, and then you can't have acha. That was kind of funny to say. Can't erase this, but you get ach in that particular case. And so this is indeed the masculine, the 2ms masculine pronominal suffix there. This is not a gender problem, so to speak. So grammatical gender problem. My son is a 2MS. So there's Proverbs 2. We're going to keep trucking through Proverbs 2, and then if the Lord wills it, we'll keep on going through 3 and 4 and beyond.